Mr. Durslan, how are we doing today, man? It's it's quite it's pretty overcast here in Canada where I am. So this is the first game I'm going to be going through right now. This is your Lithuanian Bulgarians game against Oldschool. So looking at a few of the things you said that you had some issues with defending the men-at-arms rush. You didn't forget your double bed access time, which apparently you did in a different game. Great to know. And then trouble spending wood, and you went for relics and things of that nature. So we're not going to focus too much on like castlage, relic collection, that kind of stuff. There's definitely going to be a lot more issues that are going to happen in the early game that will be the cause of like your issue of a lot of the problems you're having. So the first thing already, and this is a beautiful thing about Capture Age, we're going to go back. Okay, look how far away this sheep is. So something you can always spare time to do is have that sheep, instead of like 3 tiles away, right beside your scouts. Or your villas, sorry, not your scouts. Right? Have that sheep right beside it. Because then, when this sheep finishes, they don't have to walk away the whole way. So if you watch higher level players, what they're going to do is when you're here, they're going to have that sheep one right beside the vills, and they're going to have their vill selected and shift clicked onto the sheep. Right? So that's a really important thing to do, and it might seem small because there's so much other stuff going on that you need to learn, but my honest to God advice is hammer that into you now. And every time you miss it, try and realize you missed it. Because when you have sheep out here, and you have a sheep here, and your vills walk out to kill this, it's probably because you didn't shift click them onto this one soon enough, right? So this stops a lot of the walking time, and as a result, by the end of the Dark Age, you're probably going to have like an extra 100, 200 food. It really does add up. Alright, how do we do Fog of War? So this is an issue I just have with Capture Age. I don't know how to do Fog of War. Fog of War. Okay. Bam, you're scouting. Alright, perfect. We figured it out. We have a huge issue with your scouting already. So a big thing to realize is that when you're scouting, you start from your TC. Right? You start with this. So if you're going to sheep scout, that's fine. Alright, your scout goes one way. So, actually, I'm going to restart this. I'm going to start from the very beginning of Dark Age. First things you should always do, right? Villagers in your TC, bam. Houses, bam. Make sure you collect your sheep. And once your sheep are collected, you look at your mini-map. Where are you on the mini-map, right? So, in this case, you're in the back corner. So, here's a wall. Here's a wall. Now, you don't know what's in that wall, but this is where your opponent will not be. There's no chance he's going to be in this back corner, right? So the odds are your opponent's going to be over here or over here, right? These are like the odds. Sometimes you'll get it in here, but that's very, very rare. So here or here is probably your opponent, or maybe right in between. Okay? So here's the rules to scouting. Your sheep go to the back. Your scout goes to the front. And that's why I'm saying you do vills, you do your house, you get your sheep, and you look at your map. Because you need to send your scout to the front so that if there's anything in the front, you're going to find it first. Right? And if your opponent goes out to lame you, they're not stealing your sheep that are scouting the front of your map. He's finding your scout. And then because he found your scout, you're going to see him with your scout. And as a result, you're going to know he went for that lame. And you can react to it accordingly. So, you call out your sheep, perfect, 2 under, and now your sheep's scouting. So here's a big issue, right? Already, you have your scout going to the back. You have your sheep going this way. You have this sheep going this way. So, this sheep isn't actually scouting anything for you. You're just retreading already scouted territory, right? So if you had this sheep going here, where my mouse cursor is, and had the other sheep following it along, you would have found everything here, and your scout would have been out in front. Right? So we're going to keep going. And there's another big problem I noticed beyond this. So again, you're retreading old territory. This sheep probably should have just walked around that forest. Retreading here, this is already scouted. You found a good wood line already, so you know where you're going to lay your lumber camp. And here's an issue that you have. Look how far out your sheep is starting. Your scout's starting to go. Sorry, not your sheep. So this sheep, like in this situation, it needs to keep going like this. This sheep needs to come up and go around. And your scout right here needs to go here. Because you're not going to find anything out here, which is where your scout's going. Right? There's nothing out here for you to find. Everything for you to find is in the back. Right? And the front. So you brought your sheep in. This is very good. My personal rule is every time whenever I go onto that second sheep, my villager, I bring in my scout sheep. Both of them. It doesn't matter if I only need the one. I bring them both in just so I know that I'm not going to get stuck. And when I don't do it, it's because I mucked up. So, yep, we're going to our lumber camp. That's perfect. This is the scout build for sure. And here, you found your deer, but you've also spent a lot of your scout time out here finding nothing. You're never going to find stuff out in the middle of the map. And by stuff, I mean your starting resources. The sheep and the deer. And the boars. Okay. So this villager just walked all the way around, right? That's a lot of idle time. You have this sheep close by. That's great. Just make sure to shift click them on that bad boy. 3 on wood. And you have found your boars. That's great. So this village should be getting a boar, and then your next village should be making houses. Perfect. And these sheep shouldn't be scouting, they should be going right back to your TC. Oopsies. Your boar didn't stick. That sucks. Okay. So I don't want to get into like how to wall and everything too closely, but I'm going to bring this up just so you can be aware of it, right? This house is a problem. You've scouted this right here. So here, let's just look at what you've actually scouted, right? So when you're walling, the goal is to protect your resources from your enemy. That's 100% why you do it. You deny them access. Okay, so looking at what you've seen already, you have back berries. You know what's in the back because you are situated in the corner, right? You have this wood, this wood, this wood. You've seen no backwood. There is kind of backwood, but not really. There's sidewood, right? So you don't have a backwood. So when you're thinking about your base, you know your opponent's somewhere over here, right? In this case, he's right in the corner. You don't know that. But you know he's somewhere. He's going to be here, here, or here. So this house, so generally, you wall off the front of your map. So for me, if I was playing, this house would probably be here and here, or here and here, or here and here. So house, house, get my boar, because that's generally how the timing works. Or house, house, start walling. House, house, start walling. This is me. Alright? Walling isn't your main concern. Now, I'm bringing this up just so you can kind of be aware of it. And if you reference back to this video, it's not going to be left out. I'm doing it just to have a more holistic overview of the game and things to be thinking about, right? So, this house is bad because it's not helping you protect your resources. That's what I mean. You're building it at the right time, which is great, right? But it's not helping you protect your res. And that's the issue with it. Now, if walling isn't a priority for you, that's totally okay. Then don't really worry so much about where you're building your houses because it's not relevant if you want to focus on other things more. That's going to be a judgment call on your part, so do what you think is best. Okay. Oof. Almost had a Vil die. So personal thing that I do every time I collect a boar, I click on the far side of my TC. That way there's no chance of them getting stuck on a sheep, getting stuck on wood. Just I spam click over here if I'm luring from over here. If I'm luring from up here, I spam click down here. Luring from down here, I'm clicking over here. Like, I'm pretty sure you get it. And then that way, after you've shot your boar, they will just keep walking. And if you forget about it, you have time to recover. Because they walk to the other side of TC. Now, something I'm sure you're kind of aware of, but you always want to make sure you get all the black spots. So you've done it pretty consistently over here, no black spots. Unfortunately, you still had sheep out there, but stick on the inside of this, right, and then bam, you're going to find that sheep. So, these guys need to be making that second house or your mill. So we have a bit of an issue here, your waypoint's off. And it's looking like we're going to have a little bit more idle. Oh, no idle TC. Good catch, good catch. But you still need another house soon. And look at this. So you're scouting over at the edge of the map, but you still have all this area here unexplored without your sheep. But you're doing a really good job keeping your scout active, right? So that is definitely a positive here. So far, it looks like you have this build pretty down. But you need to be going to get that second boar right now. So the general rule of thumb is when your wild boar, your first one's at about 160 food left, you go get your second. Generally how that works is it's going to be villager number 15, pop 16. You're going for your boar. Honestly, maybe even a little bit earlier. Maybe even pop 15. Maybe even pop 15 you want to go get that boar. So, we're having a lot of vital villager time. That's a little bit unfortunate. This bad girl right here. We did find our sheep, but yeah, we're going to have to go onto a sheep here. Yeah, I think you just forgot to lure your second boar. Okay, you're sending one now. Yeah. So this is not ideal, obviously. Hunt gathers faster than sheep. So this is why that's not really ideal. And you always want 4 berries. Magical rule of thumb, like higher level players will differentiate this, will change this a little bit, sorry. Not differentiate, but they'll change it. But my magic rule of thumb is if you don't have 4 berries, you don't have enough. If you have 6 or 7 on berries, you have too much. Right? So obviously that's not 100% true. You'll see higher level players go on there. But there's very specific set circumstances when you do it. You lost the board. Well, you should probably put more bills on berries if you're not pushing deer to make up that lost food count. Because berries are a relatively fast collecting source of food. Faster than Dark Age farms. Right? And they don't cost the wood or anything. So like if you're lamed heavily for sheep or a boar and you can't really push deer, you're not good enough, or your deer aren't in a pushable location, and then you'll go like 6 bills on berries. General rule though, if you don't have 4 is the magic number. Don't have 4, you don't have enough. You have more than 4, you have too many. Alright. And then another lovely rule of thumb for scout builds, I hope you're taking notes because I'm just coming at you hard and fast, is when you hit 17 pop, the next vil goes on to wood. The rest of your vils go on to wood. So the way this works is when you click up at like 21 pop or 22 pop, you're already going to have your first 3 and then your next 4 or 5 vils on wood. And that's going to put you almost at the amount you want. Next magic rule, I'm going to reiterate it again when we get to feudal age. 10 on wood, magic number for wood vils. Alright, again, high level players going to change that situationally. Your level, 100%, 5 on wood. 5 on wood at each lumber camp for a total of 10. 5, magic number, make it happen. You're going to be good to go for everything you want to do. So, we're having a little bit of a beat 'em up here as these guys try and figure out where they're going. Our board's coming in a little bit late. And you're clicking up way too soon, my man. This loom is way too soon. You're at 19 pop, my bro. Another honest to God tip, even if you can click up, don't click up. Alright? Focus more on having the consistent macro. So you're trying to force this 19 pop, but because you're trying to force this 19 pop to get those early scouts, I'm making a prediction here. You're going to have trouble getting the wood in for your upgrades, and you're going to have trouble getting that stable up, and as a result, you're not going to be able to make those scouts consistently. So that will be a potential issue here. A big catch. You actually spotted your opponent hasn't lured his boar yet. Okay. So he's going to be up a lot later. Because he is missing that boar. And you trying to force that 19 pop results in 23 seconds of idle TC. So before you tried to force it, you had like 0. You had a beautiful Dark Age. Now, we're struggling. So we're going to speed it up a little bit. So T90, and we're stopping again because we noticed another issue. So T90 has a magic rule, right? 21 pop, you can have 1 Vil walling. 22 pop, you can have 2 Vils walling. And the reason he's saying that is because it kind of works out with the wood expenditure. Whereas that way, you're going to have enough Vils working, and you're going to have enough wood and everything else going on, like in your, collected, to get your upgrades, keep constant production, get your farms going, and do everything you need to do, right? After that, you're starting to harm yourself. So, here, you're going house and barracks. That's totally okay because of your situation. You only have 20 pop worth of houses. However, you have 9 Vils on 1 lumber camp, and you're starting to pay for it. So these guys are going to be blocking each other. Right. And you're just going to start getting a little bit messy here. 1 Vil making the stable, usually you want 2. But let's look at your total res. So you got double bed axe and horse collar. Okay. Got your stable up. And we have some idle TC going on. It's alright. You got good farms. The farms are going down good. But we only have 2 on berries. So we could definitely be taking more advantage of those berries. And we have 2 scouts coming out. So you know your opponent went 2 racks? What? Let's check your scouting. Okay. Here's your issue. Here's the big one. Right? You don't know what your opponent's doing. So, this guy needs to be remaining active. Okay, you saw your militia. I don't know if you noticed you saw them. But you did see them. So, you're doing a good job getting these farms up and going. Still not enough on berries, of course. And we're now struggling to make stuff. So, these scouts need to be doing damage right now. Or else you lose your... or else you lose the advantage of your quick cut time. So, the only reason it might be considered okay to go 19 pop or 20 pop, I think you did 19. Although it turned out to be 20 because of Vital, but irrelevant. So, the only reason you might go 20 pop or 19 pop against Bulgarians is so you can get in there quick and get these guys before they turn or get in his eco to keep them at home, right? So, buddy here, he's going YOLO. He's going YOLO men-at-arm. We don't really know that yet because we haven't been looking too much. So we always gotta... I think you saw the berries and then you went back. And then when you remember, I think you're going to end up attacking to his berries. But unfortunately with Bulgarians, there's always the issue of they get that free men-at-arm upgrade. They get it instantly. And it can be a real pain, right? And scouts struggle quite a bit against men-at-arm. So... Okay, that should be a Vil. And now we're fighting spears. Yeah, that's an issue. So here come the men-at-arm. That's going to hurt. And yeah, we're just fighting spears. So this is a good play. This reaction to range and walling in your wood, very good. Just need to make sure that we're back to actually mining our wood. Or cutting our wood, sorry. We're going on to gold here, and we're running off of the food. Okay, just task these guys to a straggler tree. You don't want to really mass farm here because you want to be able to make consistent archers. Although you're sitting on a lot of wood, so it's not an issue. Alright, let's look at your idle TC, man. Oh, buddy. Okay, here's the issue. So, you're sitting on 600 food, and the reason you're sitting on 600 food is because you haven't made a villager for 3 minutes. So, we came out of Dark Age with 23 seconds of idle time. Right? So, that's one vill. Okay, and then we have 6 villagers after that were lost to the ether. So right now you could have been at 37 vills, instead we're at 30. Like if you were playing this perfectly, no TC idle time. I mean, right? We've had some pretty serious villager idle time here, as Hera always recommends, and I highly recommend you listen to Hera. He says every time you've been attacked, as soon as the pressure goes away, cycle through those idle villagers. Find them all. So I don't know if your key's spacebar. I don't know if your key's something else. But highly recommend you do it. So that way you don't have these guys here. And I had a game today where I didn't do it and I regretted it and I lost the game because I didn't have the resources I needed as I was going up. Right? There's also a lovely key in this game called Select All Idle Villagers. So if you want, you can also hotkey that. That way, everywhere on the map, you get all your idols, and then you can just put them on something. It's not really perfect because you can't really fine-tune it. However, it helps. So you're walling really ambitiously here. I'm not really going to talk about that too much. I already kind of explained how to wall here, 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 and then debated on this. Or here, like, it's situational. But yeah, so we're not making our archers. We need to be making our archers. We're sitting on a lot of res right now. We have 400 wood, 600 food. Okay? And unfortunately, we kind of have a really fragile eco because we didn't make enough. We weren't making consistent villagers. So it's 18 minutes. We've lost on the potential of 7 villagers due to idle time. Now, at a higher level game, they would have been clicking up. They would have been up by now with the amount of like scouts and everything else that was made. You're not there yet. That's fine. I understand that. Please don't take that to be me like shitting on you or something. All right. However, you're still in a really good position against your opponent because your opponent is much newer than you or much less skilled. And he had the huge berry mob and now he's trying to follow this up with scouts. So we're going to keep going. And let's just keep an eye here on this idle TC. Right? We're not making archers here. The men at armor is still an issue. We're still not making archers, unfortunately. And our friend here just bought his way up. Now, he bought his way up with 29 villagers. So, he's going to have a really weak up. However, we too ran into an issue where we idled our TC quite a bit. Okay, TC on that gold in the wood. That's solid. I maybe would have put it here. So this is a kind of more of a finer detail. You have military productions here, right? So you're kind of protecting this approach. Over here is wide open. So if you put your TC here, you have more saturation on the wood, and you're protecting that gold. Right? This TC is pretty bad, honestly. You have a lot of infrastructure here that's going to deny you farming space. So you're better off just moving to another wood pile that you'd already scouted. And we have had no idea, like we had nothing near our opponent's base to figure out what he's doing. We've been stuck at home because we were scared of the men-at-arm, which is totally okay. Men-at-arm are scary. but we didn't make enough army to actually fight anything off. And we don't know if our opponent is going pure Craypost. We don't know if he's going 5 TCs. We don't know. He could be doing like 2-3 racks pike, right? And it would actually be easy for him to do 3 racks pikemen because he already has the barracks up, right? But we don't know. So us going 2 stable knights is really risky because we're doing 2 stable knight blind. Whereas if we'd been looking, we could have gone and scouted everything, figured out what he was doing. Right, because we still don't know. We scouted the 1 racks, we never actually scouted the 2nd racks. Or the stable. Okay. You got all your eco upgrades, great. You're you're doing mass houses. These walls are really bad. There's you're investing eco time, villager time. You're delaying potential farms, right? You're still open over here, by the way. But these walls, they'll last like 20 seconds. You can't defend these walls. And the reason they're so bad is because of how far away they are. The thing about palisade walls is it gives you time and warning, right? So that means that you can, if you need to, get houses up there before they break into your base. With this, you'll have a bit of warning, but you have no way to reinforce these walls. There's nothing you can do. Right? As soon as there's one hole, there will forever be a hole unless you take a villager from over here all the way to over here. And even then, that's still a win for him because that's a lot of eco time, micromanagement, right? The odds of you like getting back to that vill in a timely manner so it's never idle, nil. Nil. I don't care. Anyone under 2K would not be like have the presence of mind or the time to micromanage this vill without having negative consequences on something else, i.e. the Rico. So you're moving out, you're attacking. That's always a good thing. Okay, we're not really attacking. So buddy here, he has pikes out, he has a monk out. And as you can see, he's really focusing on getting those relics in because he's scared because you're Lithuanians. Alright. And bam. Let's look at our wood counts. Yeah, you kind of noticed, so you're mass farming. But we never even finished off our berries. This is 200 food that would have been really useful in Feudal Age. Okay, we got 3 TC. And we have 6 auto villagers right now. So in these situations, because I find myself here all the time, when you have like 1,500 wood, 3/4 of these woodvilles, you go make farms with them. Right? You ignore this one, kind of leave those guys there. This waypoint's still on the wood. 3/4 though. 9 farms. Right? And then you just kind of make that happen. Yep, there you go. You just need to lay down more farms. Because you still have 1,500 wood. Oof. It's a lot of damage. Okay. We're adding in more stables. Which is a good thing. General rule of thumb. Especially if you ever watch higher level players when they're playing pocket in like 3v3s and 4v4s. You add stables at about 70 villagers. With proper eco management, that's when you can start to afford it. Assuming you had consistent eco production, or stable production, sorry, not eco production. However, that wasn't the case here. There was a lot of idle stable time, which is fine. Definitely just something to be aware of and work on, trying to keep those production buildings always working. Okay. However, your opponent is going into pikemen, so kind of curious to see what your plan here is going to be. Because going knights into pikes is always a tough one. Yep. So we're now committed. We're not using our extra stables, unfortunately. Okay, the scouts, I think you made the scouts for the monks. I would say don't really worry about that. You're not going to be able to afford that kind of micro. You're better off just making more knights. Okay, Castle Krapos now. Okay, so we're going into skirmishers. That's going to be hard to do against Conics, but alright. Scrims and Knights. Knights and Scrims, this is a very classic composition. Now, you had pointed out that you forgot to get your Scrim upgrades, but you've also forgotten a lot of Cav upgrades. So you forgot your +2 armor so far, and we're going in. Alright. So there's a big problem with this Imperial, my man. And that is, you didn't have enough eco to make it worth it. So yes, you're going to be getting your Cavalier eventually. However, oh, never mind. We have a castle out, so we are going to be making trebs. Alright. For the trebs alone, this imp was worth it. Okay, move on, kill the castle. Just keep taking these fights. And don't let your trebs die. And we let our treb die. That's unfortunate. Then I think you resigned. Did we resign? Yes, we did. Okay. Alright, we're going to go back to the start. So, Lithuanians versus Bulgarians. The biggest thing you need to worry about from Bulgarians is always going to be that men-at-arm rush, right? So everything you do is kind of like cognizant of, am I getting men-at-arm rushed? So when you are scouting your opponent's base, you need to be scouting for that barracks, right? We didn't do that, unfortunately, so that thing hit us blind, okay? The second thing, when fighting against a men-at-arms rush to understand, is don't wall big. Don't do big walls, because men-at-arms hit really fast. Do small walls. So here could have been an example of walling from your wood line to your TC, wood to gold, gold to TC, right? Maybe the front here, TC, berries, there, and there, right? That's a possible way to wall this. So if I'm going to just click on the wrong button. Okay. So here, I'll just draw you some potential walls that I may have made, or someone else might make, at a bit of a higher level. Okay. So there. No. That's a bad one. So here. Bam. 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 Right. And the real focal point to this is it doesn't cost you all that much wood. And as a result, so up here you had your buildings made, right? So that's going to wall this. Palisades and palisades and palisades, palisade, 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 palisade. You're funneling all to the TC so that when he does if he tries to dive on you, he dies to your TC because you can just garrison, right? As a result, your berries are protected. You still have gold access. You have wood. You have wood. You have wood, right? However, something else to be cognizant of, especially as you get a lot better, someone could look at this and be like, these walls are really bad. And the reason for that is this. Your stone's here, your stone's here. And the reason that would potentially be an issue is if they decided to go men-at-arm tower. However, good news for you, at your level that's not happening. So I wouldn't even worry about it. Okay? So Bulgarians, you're worried about that men-at-arm rush. And as you're playing, as you're going through your Dark Age, what you're trying to do is figure out how you're going to mitigate that men-at-arm rush, because it hits early and it hits hard. Right? So sometimes what a lot of people say is you go up a little bit earlier so you can get more scouts out. At your level, don't worry about it. Okay? Don't worry about getting up earlier. I recommend you just play 21 pop or 22 pop every single time. Then it doesn't matter if you're Lithuanians, it doesn't matter if you can click up earlier. You just play 21 pop. Just so you can have that stronger eco when you get up and you don't have that fragility. Right? So, as you're scouting forward, we're just going to get there. Right here. Right. Right here, your scouts you needed to have known. You didn't know there was a barracks. You hadn't scouted that barracks yet, right? Your initial scout needed to find this. Needed to know. Needed to see if he was on gold. Okay. These were your priorities against Bulgarians. You need to know if he's doing men-at-arms. Easiest way to find that, find the barracks, see if he's on gold. Because he's probably not doing archers. You don't have to worry about archers, right? Next thing, you're walling big. You're doing these big, ambitious walls that you can't defend. And as a result, you're going to lose this. You're going to lose your Ville here. And there's no defense to his men-at-arm, right? So you kind of got overwhelmed here. You lost all your scouts to spears. And that's another issue with how this works for Bulgarians. They don't have to invest time into getting that men-at-arm upgrade, so they can get those spears out instantly. Right? That's why the priority is to know if they are going men-at-arm. And if possible, try and fight them as militia. If not, get these walls up nice and early. Get archers out, get skirms out. Skirms are fine too. Okay, scout skirm is the standard. I would say do that more often than not. But also, when you're under pressure like this, and these guys are coming in, go to your TC, shift, whatever your make villager hockey is for you. For me, it's A, so shift A. Bam, queuing up 5 vills. Now I just have to focus on this because odds are all my food just went into making villagers. Hopefully, if I have like 200 food in the bank, it's going to make me 4 vills, and I'm not going to have that extra 2 minutes of idle time that you've had, right? So that's a solution here. Just try to be cognizant of it. But the biggest things I can say to you, man, for this game especially, wall small. Okay? And if that just means walling in this wood here, then so be it. But just understand that that means these berries are open. Okay? And then obviously, I have a few magic rules. Always split your lumber. Alright, 5 on each. 4 vills on berries. Okay, you're pretty good about making farms when you could. You're pretty good about keeping that the early TC going. Okay? So, those were definitely some positives there. Unfortunately, we didn't actually make archers, and we had no idea what our opponent was doing. So we went straight into knights when our opponent had a very easy transition to pikemen and monks. Okay. Now, I realize you got kind of mad at yourself for not getting relics earlier because you're Lithuanians. I would say don't even worry about that. Just at the lowest levels, even at my level, like for me especially, as a player, men-at-arms can be a really hard thing to fight against, and it's doubly so when you're going scouts. So just be cognizant of wall small. Okay, your goal is to keep them out of your eco, not to wall half the map off, right? Like this buddy here, these walls are so hard to defend. Now he happens to have a really, really nice map, and he's walling this correctly, but it doesn't change the fact that he has to invest a lot of wood and time into getting these walls up and his base safe. You walling here, here, and here, it's just unfeasible. You can't defend this unless you're stone walling, which you're not. And even then, that's going to delay you a crap ton. So that's game one. All right. I think we probably hit like 30, 40 minutes. Yeah, we hit 40 minutes. Okay. So I'll come back at you in a bit with game 2 or game 3. Depending. I'm going to see how much is reiterated. So the other ones might be a bit faster. All right. Hope this helped. Peace, bro.